Hey yo, it's time to roar, get loud, let's ignite. Jeremy B in the house, we keeping it tight. Every weekday at 11, we ready to ride. Lions Talk Live, come and join the pride. Waking up early, it's that morning grind. Tune in to the show, leave the troubles behind. Jeremy B's the king, with the voice like thunder. Every word he spits, it's a lyrical wonder. Got the lions around, sharp and fierce. When we hear one pride, you can't help but feel your heart pierce. Talking all the topics, keep it real, keep it raw. With a lion's mentality, we're ready for the roar. One pride, it feels right. Jeremy B bringing the heat, morning light. Every weekday at 11 we taking flight. Lions Talk Alive, yeah, we ready to bite. One pride, hear us loud. Jeremy's in the zone, making us proud.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Thank you, Hoss. 9/11, 24 years ago today. Approximately 3.5 hours before this time, we watched one of the most horrific things to happen in this nation. It went on the whole day. Where were you when it happened? This is less about sports and more about our country and where it has gone since that tragic day. Where were you? I know where I was. I was on my honeymoon, Caesar's Pocono Palace. I had just woke up. It was a little after 8 a.m., and I walked outside to have a cigarette, and the people in the cabana next to us, he was there crying, smoking a cigarette, and I was like, what's wrong? He goes, it's just horrible. Go turn on your TV. I finished my cigarette. I went inside, and there was the first building with the gaping hole and the smoke pouring out. And as I woke my wife, and we sat there huddled together crying, we watched the other plane hit. One of the most horrific events in our nation's history since Pearl Harbor. 3,000 lives died that day at the World Trade Center. I'll never forget it. I was at Marshall Street, Pennsylvania, Caesar's Pocono Palace, which was about 15 miles away from the Pocono Raceway. About 20 miles from where United Flight 93 crashed. We've all heard the conspiracy theories. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not here to dive into a whole bunch of other bullshit or get political or any of that stuff. But it was that day when we had our first real taste of the media being driven before events happened. Because BBC America seemed to have the best live coverage. They had a camera there on the buildings that were still standing the whole time. And there was a female there that was asked by the correspondent at the desk, well, what all has happened? And she said, Building 7 fell, and this is at 3:03 p.m., fell approximately 5 minutes ago. And she sits there and she's rambling on about it. And he goes, but isn't that Building 7 standing behind you? And at exactly 4:06 p.m., or 3:36 p.m., excuse me, Building 7 fell behind her after she already reported it fell. And it had the little live thing next to her on the screen. So the narrative, that's what makes it seem so out there, but I don't want to get into that. Where were you? Put it in the comments. Where were you when the World Trade Center fell? When the Twin Towers came collapsing to the ground after being struck by 2 jets? Because it's an image I'll never get out of my head. I'll never forget it. Watching in horror as people were jumping from the floors above. because they knew they weren't getting out. Men, women, children, first responders. I'm not looking at that right now. This is more about history and what happened yesterday. This show is about news today. So, Bill, I haven't looked. I haven't seen anything. I know Terry On's back. I know somebody else came back too, and a couple of people are out. Let me go look. This was as of yesterday. Two of them were rescued. So Jack Campbell had no practice, resting an ankle. Taylor Decker was a rest, no practice for his shoulder that he's been dealing with all off season. Good to see you, Steve Bauer. Trevor Nowoski had limited practice, so he returned to practice after his elbow inflammation from last week. Carry-on Arnold was at full practice, and so was Daniel Thomas, the guy that broke his hand. Yes, we're tied for last in the division, technically last because we scored less points. I know. It's week 1. I'm not even freaking out yet. Amen, Rob. Neither do you. Yes. And that's the next thing I'll be going over is that. Fast forward 24 years and where the media fell since that day. The media became driven on more opinion basis and click and becoming entertainment more than news. We don't have true news anymore. We haven't since that day. I'm waiting to see what happens with the report for today, but that was as of yesterday. That was yesterday's injury report. And then Charlie Kirk yesterday. After I left the show, he was doing one of his debates out there in Utah with his wife and children there in attendance. Watched a man who didn't like his opinion shoot him. Since when is an opinion worth someone's life? I don't care whether it's right, left, wrong, up, down, whatever. I wasn't going to do music today, but just for you, Pat. But this man lost his life in the CCU yesterday in Utah. Charlie Kirk, Christian, philanthropist, son, husband, and father. But I'm more interested, where were you when the towers fell on 9/11/2001? Where were you? towers were struck 24 years and 3.5 hours ago. That hour and a half, we watched them sit there with the gaping holes full of smoke and fire coming out of them and people jumping from the floors above. I was 2001, I was 30, turning 31 at that time. Hurricane sitting in the living room hungover and didn't believe it. Good to see you, Hurricane. Glad it came through. I was at work on a machine, quiet trip home. Imagine that being the start of your marriage. I was on my third day of my marriage. My my sec my second wake up as a husband, and woke up to this. Marshall's Creek, Pennsylvania, Little Caesars Pocono Palace, Cabana 7. When they locked down the state of Pennsylvania because United 93 fell, we were extended our stay by 2 days while they did the cleanup. I learned real quick that a driving honeymoon does not bode well. Yeah, I woke up next to my wife. Um, of 2.5 days at that time. Who knew getting married would be the start of a national day? I was at work and it was all out pandemonium because the railroad is a prime place for a terrorist attack. Yes, especially with all the chemicals that are transported by train, so they're safer than being on the expressway and everything else. I get it. So easy to cause a derailment. So easy to cause one of those train cars to explode or get disconnected because it's all controlled by computers. We didn't leave our cabana all day. We just sat there huddled in front of the TV. I need to have Green Bay lose tonight. Oh yeah, I agree. But you know what? If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. Can't control it if you're not in the game. And let's face it, Sunday the Lions weren't in that game. I don't know where their heads at, other than maybe squarely up their ass, especially the offensive and defensive line. And I still am not going to blame play calling when I saw the old line do absolutely nothing to help. They looked lost. The second half, they made adjustments. We were stopping the run, but they only had to throw the ball 6 times in the second half because the damage was done. Green Bay did a hell of a job. Kudos to them. We weren't prepared. We weren't a unit. We weren't a team. We weren't that family unit we had seen for the past 3 seasons. Update: Taylor Decker is dealing with recovering his shoulder injury. Is expected to play this weekend for Johnny Morton. That just came in right this minute. hearing about people donating money from the NFL players to help Charlie Kirk's family, it warms my heart. Dan Campbell and the offensive line coach need to get their heads out of their ass after. Well, yes, especially the offensive line men themselves, because it's about execution. Uh, I would make Graham Glasgow sit and start the backup that started all the games this preseason, because it looked like he called out better protection orders than Graham Glasgow did, because that whole old line looked lost. And I'm going to say it again: when your center is calling out bad protections and doing bad things himself, it's hard for the guards around him to be good. Thank you, Jim Jackson. Where were you, Jim Jackson, in 9/11 when it happened? Heck, doesn't need to get their ass beat. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just hoping it does. No different than any other fan of another team in this division wishes all three of the other teams lose every week, no matter who they face, and especially if it's each other. That's what we all do. Some people take it to the extreme, call you ghost, call you this, and call you that. I haven't ghosted. I posted my article. It's out there today. And yes, I was embarrassed. In my opinion, they're going to lose. We make them look better than they are with our abysmal play last week. I'm not going to deny that that might be the case. They look pretty good. I think the Lions should have seen some preseason match. Yes, I've been saying that. Been saying that. I'm not saying it'll help, but it couldn't have hurt. At least the three new ones, the ones playing in new positions. If they'd have let Glasgow, Mahogany, and Tate Ratledge play through the preseason, maybe they could have got a little more cohesiveness and a better gelling and got used to how the play calling goes and the protection call out. It would have helped them. I'm sorry, but Graham Glasgow looked lost, and I've never seen that before. Not like that. Not like that. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Our country's going to hell in a handbasket. And it's the whole world is really. Your opinion can't be different than mine, or I'm mad at you. Since when has that been the norm? When? When did this start? I don't get it. Oh, that's a part of history I don't like. Remove it. It's unfathomable. I mean, but that's where we're. Tomorrow I'll be looking forward to talking more football. I'll have a more detailed report, able to talk about the Lions better. Also, we'll have B here. Who knows? Maybe Broski will pop in since we're facing off against the Bears. Skipper is back on the 53. I do know that. The two people we just signed went to the practice squad. Offensive tackle Devin Cochran from the Bengals. And linebacker Monty Rice. That's who we got. Added to the practice. Thank you, everybody, for watching. When you go home today, hug your family. Tell them you love them. No day is guaranteed. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. Treat everybody how you want to be treated. Someone needs something, give it to them. I'm not saying like if they say I want $2,000. No, I'm talking about somebody needs something. You need clothes, food. Here's the sandwich. You need clothes. Here, take the ones off my back. We need to get back to being that society again. More caring, not empathy. Empathy causes more pain in the long run. Charlie Kirk will tell you that. Go look at it. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being my fan. I'm not getting into the politics side of things. I'm just saying how I feel. Much love. One pride.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.